Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to welcome back one of the greatest of all times here on Blackbird's bottom right hand corner, and playing for Africa Freaks is the man, the legend, SOO. His opponent in the bottom left hand corner instead. Another one of those legends, to be completely honest with you guys, playing for Shopify Rebellion. It is Byun. It's gonna be super interesting to see how SOO changed this playstyle in these years away. Well, not years, a year and a half I think, maybe a little bit more. Of course, this is not like the matchup in which you think, yeah, so much has changed in these years. It's CVT. A good old CVT never changes too much. It somewhat changes. But it's not one of those matchups that were like severely changed. I wouldn't call it stale, but I wouldn't really call it ever evolving. I'm more curious to see these men playing some ZVP, which have changed it somewhat, and of course ZVZ, which is honestly always kind of a mess. And we're talking about one of the kings of ZVZ, so it's gonna be super interesting. One of the few players who could stand up to some of the other kings of ZVZ, like Rogue and Cyril, of course. You'll remember that legendary DreamHack he won. What to expect out of this series though? It's very hard to tell. Byun is one of those players who can perform at crazy high standards and leave us somewhat disappointed at other times. He's really still pretty inconsistent, of course due to obvious problems. But in the end, I will still give him the edge over SOO. He's one of those players who always practice. They're always playing in tournaments, whether they be minor or major ones. And he's always delivering somewhat. Sometimes a little bit less, as I was saying before, but he always delivers. He always has that kind of game that makes you say, yeah, that is Byun. Still a lot to learn about SOO instead. Just got back. He's of course trying to take control of the lone over here. Try to shoo away the Scouting Reaper. Couple Hellions pumping out. But let's start to analyze what is going on over here. Fair Command Center, pretty early timing, as you can see, with only 2 production structures. A third one soon to come over here, alongside a third one, 3-1. Before the starport is even a thing, Byun dropping down the double Rex, bringing the total to 3. And with Steam already halfway through, you could definitely expect some kind of timing attack earlier on to try and deal as much damage as possible, even without medivacs. Especially if an armory gets added to the equation, which I don't think it will. I don't expect these aliens to turn into Hellbots anytime soon. We see the double NG Bay and 9 roaches incoming from SOO. Good old SOO. Always loves his roaches. Even in the one matchup in which they're honestly kind of subpar. You can see the lanes trying to take some map control, trying to gain some vision. They will be cut out in the open by the aliens and the Reaper. But SOO is going to add some more lanes to the equation. Honestly, not getting many drones though. I'm starting to get kind of worried for Byun, who doesn't really have a starport yet. Halfway through, yes, he's getting a lot of upgrades, he's grading out a little bit. And SOO is getting a lot of units on the field instead. Not much that Byun has done for scouting this as well. There's no tanks. There's no Widow Mines. This might be incredibly deadly. Oh, the aliens get caught up in the open, and they're the last line of defense against these many lanes that can tank damage for ages. Here comes the pain train. SOO sending all the roaches in, and you can see Byun immediately taking these SCVs out of the mineral lines. So many are dying though, and those two NGB, oh, they're not looking mighty fine, are they? Marines are sent into the field, they can get to snipe a couple Ravagers, but they cannot dodge those biles forever. SOO dealing outstanding amounts of damage. You can see the supply plummeting for Byun. Infantry weapons level 1 denied, and infantry armor is soon to follow. Lair double evo chamber incoming for SOO. He's trying to macro it up from this. He knows he dealt so much damage, so much lost mining time, so many SCVs dead. SOO doubling the worker supply of his opponent. Almost. Well, not doubling anymore the army supply, but you can see his map control is outstanding, his economy is so much better. He's ready to take a 4th base, he's ready to tech up from here. While Byun just dropping down that starport. With those 5 racks, he cannot really do much. He needs to go for a counter, and he needs to deal damage with this. An outstanding timing attack on the side of SOO. We always look at the Terran to start dealing damage in this matchup, but this wasn't the case, huh? Melee and Carapace upgrade incoming for SOO. With Byun trying to do its best to gain back a little amount of control. Double NGB being dropped down again, and tanks for defense, of course. SOO cannot really end the game from this standpoint, but this Spire, oh, I love to see this Spire get into some Muda Link action. One of the most snowball-y compositions in the game that can really push your advantage forward if played correctly. If you pull your opponent apart enough, there's gonna be some real troubles for Byun. Of course, taking this gold base is somewhat pretentious, I will say, on the side of SOO. Not really needed, and it's going to be hard to defend, especially without breaking down those rocks. I fully think that SOO has enough to defend this, so probably not gonna be a major problem. But it's not like he has to spare workers. He can have a lot of those, honestly. Yeah, the rocks are the main focus right now for SOO, as it should be, making the defense much easier alongside trying to break down these leftmost and rightmost mineral fields that are also the closest to the archery. You can see so many drones dying without much that SOO can do with this. It's honestly, yeah, those 9 losses have been quite avoidable. I still don't think that getting this gold base was the right decision overall. You see 3 Corruptors actually incoming, and wow, a macro hatch. You don't see many of those nowadays, huh? SOO wants to be extra careful with these, but as you can see, he's getting into a crazy amount of units. His creep spread is not really amazing, considering how much control he's had so far in this game, but not even bad either. Byun is kind of stabilizing again. Mules do wonders when you're on 3 orbital commands or you don't have many workers. And the tanks, of course, mean that SOO cannot really attack head on. Almost impossible. There's 2 Corruptors up in the air right now to try and take care of these medevacs as soon as possible. I'm still kind of surprised not to see Mutas with this, but I still see SOO being so much ahead in pretty much everything. And it makes it really complicated for Byun to actually hold here. The Corruptors can easily snipe away the medevacs. And here comes another pain train. The tank is on siege in the front. There's 3 more tanks backwards. But in the end, the army of SOO will still come clashing upon these marines. The connections are crazy good, still so many Byunlins alive. The 2 tanks on the high ground were enough to keep the wall up. Well, not the wall, not really, but you get what I mean. It's a metaphor, guys. In the end, Corruptors are trying to do their best to destroy whatever's left of the economy of Byun, and honestly, they're doing quite a marvelous job at it. These command centers will not have a long life ahead of them, and the rest of the army of SOO really wants to come clashing on whatever's left here for Byun. Here goes the command center, 300 health. I don't think it will be repaired. The Byunlins try to get a connection on top of these marines. Meanwhile, the rest of the lanes trying to get on top of the tanks. They are shooting at each other, basically. And GG gets gold. SOO takes game number 1. And we're at it again here on Hardwire. In the top right-hand corner. Currently leading the series. Playing for a freak of freaks. It is SOO. An insanely good timing attack. His opponent in the blue, he gritted it out. Can he make up for his mistakes? From Shopify Rebellion, it's Byun. Super interesting to see these kind of punishes coming from quote unquote something new. And I say quote unquote because SOO is definitely not new, he's back. But I definitely wouldn't expect him to be the kind of player to strategize such a good counter to the playstyle of Byun. As kind of always, the most aggressive players are the ones who suffer the most against hyper-aggression. So he's gonna go for a pull first. I don't expect anything too crazy out of this, honestly. I do think it's just to be extra careful around proxies. Is SOO actually going for the flash opener? Which has become meta only recently. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I get it. I was wrong. I was super wrong. This is definitely aggressive. See, only one gas with this. Watch Warren early on. I want to say this is going to be some kind of Ravager rush. But I do feel like you need to have 2 Vespene geysers for this. Isn't that true? Commands there on the low ground incoming from Byun. That is weird. The Reaper will catch these 2 links most likely. Again, the 16 pull is not necessarily a commitment. It is in this case, but sometimes it isn't. Keeping the Reaper back at home is honestly, most of the time, the better choice, especially with the command center on the low ground. So, honestly, very good idea from Byun to keep the Reaper around. And you can see that's a lot of roaches. No Ravagers, not yet, at least. And with only 1 queen to transfuse both archeries, we should not expect like crazy amount of lanes. No second queen gets started. And we see the first Ravager actually. So yeah, in the end, SOO did have enough gas to support this. Command center will complete. Oh, the lanes get past the wall. They get a very good idea about what is up. There's a bunker incoming. So Byun is expecting the worst. But SOO is gonna go back to droning. 5 drones in the production tab. Probably gonna see a second queen very soon. And just a couple more Ravagers to be as annoying as possible. You can see Roach and Ravagers lumping up in the front over here. The bunker is, of course, almost full. But in the end, it's not like SOO will heavily commit into this. There's a cycle incoming. Of course, very good for defense. The Overload giving some high ground vision for SOO. And Bile's actually raining from the sky. These supply deputy is gonna be killed, causing these supply block, which is definitely not good. Oh, I do think this reactor is... Oh my god, like... This is dealing much more damage than I was expecting. So he has completely snapped out of this as well. He's not really committing at all. And you can see he's saving the biles to try and get as many of those as possible onto the SCVs, knowing that he cannot easily kill the supply depot. 2 more SCVs going down to a total of 4. The lock-on needs to be cancelled twice. In the end, the army of Byun will be able to deal with whatever's left of the army of SOO, and Byun will probably try to look for a counter-strike right now, which is most likely the better choice, the optimal choice. But in the end, there was a lot of damage that SOO was able to cause without really committing. Yeah, taking the early gas is kind of a commitment, but I do feel like he dealt more damage than, honestly, Byun should have taken in that scenario. And honestly, this means he's in a much better position. Do I think that the Roach Ravager Ling kind of cheese is a good build? I really don't. I think it's an absolute terrible build. But SOO was able to control his unit good enough to actually deal damage, to save them, to keep on dealing damage, to keep Byun out of the minor line long enough for this to be called worth it. And now he still has something back home to defend himself with. There's a Raven incoming, of course, very good in those scenarios in which you need something to get value over time for you. Some kind of a comeback maneuver, and I also do like this third command center coming in since Byun has a lot of map control, knowing that his opponent is mostly on Roach and Ravagers. He has 2 Cyclones on the map. Cyclones are definitely a rough opponent for Roach Ravager. The same can be said for the opposite though, with Lings being so good at getting those cancel on the lock-ons. You can see the Queen's trying to be extra careful, not even dropping the Crypt Tumor, he's dropping it right now. One of the Cyclones is going to go down, another major blunder from Byun. And now 14, 18 and counting Lings incoming for SOO, who's still up on the throttle. He wants to keep up the aggression, he's sending units in. He's not expecting tanks, which is definitely true. He's expecting steam more than anything else. There's a Raven, no Banshee. So this could still prove to be quite deadly. Ravens are not the best in this scenario. They can get down auto turrets and buy time, but they're not the best. Supply depot is definitely going to go down, causing a little bit of a choke point for these Ravagers to go ham on mules and SCVs alike. And yet, Byun still holds. He takes damage, but still holds all 4 more Ravagers. That's gonna be pretty deadly. Another supply depot is in real danger right now. And he's probably gonna burn down before being able to do anything about it. Byun is gonna send his SCVs in the front, trying to take as much damage as possible. His supply block right now is only going to lose more and more stuff. The bunker goes down, so do 25 SCVs, and these Ravagers are still standing tough. In impulse from the sky, command centers running away, and Byun retreating on the high ground. SOO with a double up punch, going for a haymaker on top of Byun. And honestly, this tank is far too little, far too late. SOO on 3 bases, 50 workers, getting a lair, getting 2 Evo chambers, getting even more Lings, and getting ready to snipe away both infantry armor and infantry weapons +1 for the 2nd game in a row. Byun definitely not adapting after game number 1, while SOO realizing that over-aggression works wonders against this particular opponent. And it's so good to see SOO back. His playstyle is so fresh, and he's getting yet at it again. This tank is in real danger. The Biles will snap it away. Another tank on the high ground will keep SOO away from climbing up that ramp, but those Biles, oh goodness, they're starting to become so important and yet so difficult to dodge. Tank is trying to get on the low ground again. There's an overseer right now to get these piles even on the high ground. You can see the Marines shooing away whatever's left of the army of SOO, of course. But Byun is in a desperate spot right now. This overseer almost has enough energy to drop down a corruption as well. And the Raven will make so that these... Oh, Byun needs to, keep attention. Because those piles were almost catching up half of his own Marine army. But anyway, the Raven was able to put up some pressure while the army of Byun was trying to get the Ravagers that were retreating. Many of them will die. But it's not like Byun is in a good spot right now. He's kind of in a desperate position. He's sending his units out. But honestly, it's not like he can do much, can he? Byun with more than double his army supply. He's trying to go for the finishing move. Anti-armor missile. SOO will not even wait it out. We'll start dropping those piles down. The Marines fight out of the tank range. Another little bit of a mistake. His NG Bay will take a couple piles on top of them, and they will both go down most likely. Many SCVs being put in those NG Bays for repair. One of the NG Bays will fall down, the other will be repaired back to full health. Oh, there's so many Ravagers with these 14 more Roaches incoming. And Byun's numbers, they're not getting that much bigger. Only 2 tanks with these. They can easily get sniped down by Ravager piles. Here comes the piles on the first tank. Here comes the piles on the second tank. Another one gets produced. But this is definitely GG. SOO takes the series.